right. Thanks, everybody. Hey, guys, welcome back. Week 3. A shout out to those of you that sent in an update on how you're making out with week 2's activities and that. Don't let the accountability slip, you guys. We're only week 3 into it. And implementation and execution and accountability are the key to what you're going to get out of this course. I don't know if I had $1 for every course that you take and the ideas you get. You're never short of ideas. You're just short of the implementation, the execution. So promise yourself to maintain accountability. Promise yourself to stay on track and to implement and execute to the best of your abilities. Just to recap, in week 1, we started off with our business plan and our top-down planning and getting all a clear focus of what we wanted, our why, what we wanted to get in, the reason, what we want to finance from the business and the vehicle we want to finance, and the goal and the vision, our number of people a day, our number of appointments per week, our number of deals per month. So we have a clear focus on those numbers. Again, it's just math, 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 and more math. And last week we took the time to build it and they will come, assemble those names, those addresses, those mobile numbers, those email numbers, get them into that Excel, get it into that master setup in Excel. Remember that all real estate CRMs don't interact with each other or merge, but everything and every CRM will merge from an Excel spreadsheet and work for you each time. So the CRMs are designed to hold your ransom so you can't jump from one to the other. That's why they do that. Make sure you schedule your calendar for your touches. And remember, I'm not bugging people. I'm adding value and staying top of mind. Add value, stay top of mind, give, and you get. Give to get. And do that and deliver that unexpected and implement and execute those touches. Clear focus on what you need to do and what you want to generate for your business. And that's our step 1 and step 2 in our week 1 and 2 plan. And week 3, we're going to focus on I know some of you may have looked at the heading of this and the topper and said, oh man, the scripts and dialogues and what to say. And I don't want to be canned, Wade. I want to sound like I know what I'm doing, but we're in the communication business and you guys might want to write the stat down. Anybody have any idea the percentage when you're relying on texting and emailing and voice messaging? Anybody want to know what percentage of odds you have of the communication getting through clearly if you're just relying on those sources? Anyone want to take a guess at what percentage it is? It's kind of crazy that agents just text and email and do all these things. Yeah, it's not even that high. So you guys have you guys are banking on a 14% odds of communication style. So I don't know about you guys, but has anybody had a text misconstrued by somebody they care about and misinterpreted in a text? Just me? My wife's the only person in the world that gets angry at what I text. And anybody ever had an email that is completely misconstrued and misinterpreted in that? So think about this. That communication style is a 14% odds of getting clearly communicated to the other side. So 86% of communication, you write this down, is voice, tone, body language, inflection, all those things. And pure and simple, when you're doing texting, when you're doing emailing, when you're doing those things, you're eliminating 86% of communication. So what you say, how you say it, your tone, your inflection, your voice, and that is incredibly critical to the messaging and the messagee and messagor. You guys having technical difficulties there, Chad? Your mic kicked out. We're good? Back on. I got you. Yeah, I got you. Did I cut out or are we good?
Right after you gave us that stat of 14%, basically.
Yeah. Okay, so 86. Yeah, no problem. 86% of communication, folks, voice, tone, body language, inflection, all of those things. So you're eliminating those things when you're texting, you're eliminating those things when you're emailing, you're eliminating all of those communication mechanisms, and you're relying on only 14% odds. So give that some serious thought when you're doing that. So why is it important what you say and how you say it and how you sound and how you influence that? At the end of the day, when you know what to say and how to say it, it builds your self-confidence. When you are saying things that are getting the impact or the engagement that you're looking for, it increases your chances of being in a more effective communicator. You get better results, you get better engagement, and you can write this down too, as well as not just the stat of 14%, but what you say and how you say it will change how someone feels then they will change how they think, and then they will change how they act. So I know this is kind of heavy for a Monday afternoon, but at the end of the day, right, you need to understand that what you say and how you say it change how somebody feels while planting that seed. Then you change how they act, and then they change how they respond and how they go there. So communication is incredibly important, and realizing that you need to trigger somebody's emotional meter to get them to think more logically and think about what they need to do for themselves. And so we're going to focus on how to communicate, what to say, how to say, and to be able to be better at this and moving forward this week. And then you're going to end up doing this. Chad, I don't know if you guys do this, but every Friday in my office, we have a group of agents that really focus on their role playing and dialoguing scripting. Guys, do you guys have a team or a group that does that weekly in your office, Chad?
No, we don't.
All right, guys. So this is on you, not on Chad or on me. I highly, highly recommend you pairing up, getting together weekly. My guys do it in the office here every Friday at 9 a.m. They pair up, we role play, we script, we dialogue, we present, we video, we record, we get feedback in that just to practice here in the office. I'm a golfer, and you got to practice on the driving range and not practice on the course, because it's kind of ugly on the course when you're out there failing and doing that. And in the room and in the training room and partnering up with your peers and that, it's easier to make mistakes in there and be able to do that and to catch yourself. You also record yourself and listen to it and watch it, and you'll be able to see some of the things that you didn't realize you did or didn't do when you're videoing, when you're recording yourself. When I sold encyclopedias door to door, we had to memorize a 3-hour presentation in 5 business days in Collier's office in Vancouver. And we would record ourselves, play it back, record ourselves, play it back, record ourselves. And then you would internalize it and put in your own feelings in it, your own words, your own dialogue on it. And it made a huge difference. And that's the same in our industry as being able to practice and be able to do that for yourselves and do it in your offices. Don't do it on your fields and screw it up, mess it up, and increase your confidence, increase your communication and your engagement higher and higher by practicing it in the office and on the driving range, not on the course. So a couple of things I'm going to do for you. So in sales, folks, I'm going to give you a couple of quotes. Dale Carnegie says that in sales, the world's greatest conversationalist is the one who says little or nothing. The world's greatest conversationalist is the one who says little or nothing. In sales, the best salesperson is not the one who is able to talk a dog off a meat wagon. The best salesperson is the one who asks the best thought-provoking questions. Anybody read Gitomer's Little Red Book of Selling? Little Red Book of Selling by Jeffrey Gitomer, Gitomer. It's an incredible good book to read, everyone. It just teaches you the right questions, how to ask the right questions, what questions to ask and that, and be able to be a better, stronger questioner and not a person that's pushing on people and talking a dog off a meat wagon. Pull the consumer in. Get in a habit. It's not by chance that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Double listening, half the talking. Ask that question, plant the seed, change how they feel. They'll then change how they think, and then they'll change how they act. Okay? And so that's the key is that pull on them, don't push on them. Ask questions, shut up and listen. Ask questions, shut up and listen, and have an arsenal. Honestly, how many people have a good, strong arsenal of good, thought-provoking questions? Good, thought-provoking, engaging questions that you can ask. Anybody got a good arsenal of that? Right? So your homework assignment, and I'll give you this in a few minutes, is write this down. Your homework assignment as a group and as an office is to create a list of all the challenges buyers are having in your current market, all the challenges that buyers are having in your current market, and create a list of all the challenges that sellers are having in your marketplace. Once you've got that list, Chad, of those challenges for buyers and those challenges for sellers, take each of those challenges and convert them into a question. So I'll give you an example. Out of curiosity, are you folks having a hard time finding what you're looking for? Yes. Hey, just out of curiosity, when you find it, is it already pending or does it have a sale on it and you've missed out? Out of curiosity, are you worried about the market crashing and prices falling? Or out of curiosity, I have a hard time putting that down payment together, deposit together. Are you having a difficult time qualifying for the payment and the payment not high enough to qualify for the total purchase price you're looking for? So do you have to, is your equity tied up and you have to sell before you can buy? So these are all questions. Instead of selling them, I'm honest, I'm awesome, I'm look at me, I'm Sandra D and this and that, and pushing on them, ask them thought-provoking questions that keep them aware of what the challenge they're about to face, and that you get them, you understand with them, and you understand where they're coming from and what they're afraid of, and then let them know that you have the solutions to those challenges, right? And that's how the best salespeople get the results they're looking for and get the appointments and get the clients. So stop pushing, start pulling, change your arsenal to thought-provoking and engaging questions, and stop talking the dog off a meat wagon. Double up this, half of this, ask more thought-provoking, engaging questions and listen to the response and continue to dig deeper. So tip number 1, qualifying. So my mentor said, Wade, learn how to lose somebody on Tuesday before they run you ragged, end up not buying or buying from another agent or screwing you over on Saturday. Okay, so there are 3 incredible, simple, one-word questions that you have to be in a habit of asking all the time. Qualifying question number 1, why? Why? Why are you wanting to buy? Why are you needing to buy? Why are you wanting to sell? Why are you looking to sell? And that, ask them the questions why, be quiet and listen. And their response, guys, this is how you qualify somebody. If they do not respond that they are avoiding pain or moving from something, or their desire of pleasure and moving to something. So if they're not moving from or moving to something, then there's no mo, which means no motivation, then no go. Okay? Because you have to move someone's emotional meters, their internal meters and their emotional connections to something, and help them become aware of what they're running from or running to, or there's no motivation. And it doesn't matter how good you are at talking, how good you are at persuading, in that you're not going to get them to do what they need to do for you or for themselves. Okay. So question number 1, qualifying, why? Listen carefully. Okay. Ask them that 5, 6, 7 times. Question number 2, when? So first question determines their motivation and their why and their purpose, and if they're running from something, running to something. Question number 2 now determines their timing. So write this down, you guys. This is your follow-up timing follow-up meter. So if someone's, I always put the meter in 3 types of clients and 3 types of qualifying clients. They're either a cold lead, a warm lead, or a hot lead. A cold lead is somebody's timing that's 1 year or longer. I just put them into an automated system and touch them monthly. Okay. So someone cold lead 1 year or longer, put them in an automated system, put them on an auto listing lead alerts or newsletter, just put them into something that takes care of them automatically. And they're 1 year or longer, put them in a system monthly. If they're a warm lead, that's somebody that's going to do something in the next 6, 9 months. I'm communicating and following up every 3 weeks, 6 to 9 months. Hot lead, they're going to do something in 60, 90 days. I'm following up and connecting and checking with them every 3 days. So hot leads, 3 days. Warm leads, 3 weeks. Cold leads, put them in a system, put them in a drip. Okay, there's your follow-up timing and your follow-up process, because sales is a lot about follow-up. Not only what we say and how we say it, but also about qualifying, but also about timing and follow-up. Third question, and the third most important question, is how? Will you be paying cash or will you be requiring credit? And if the answer is to credit, then you need to find out who that credit's with. And your single most important thing to qualify them is to not ask them about their financial capabilities. We just met, so you're not actually entitled to know about their financial situation. But you can answer in the room here, what are some of the benefits to them of meeting with your money persons for, say, 30 minutes, you guys? What do you tell people the benefits are to them for meeting with your money persons for 30 minutes when it comes to them requiring some financing? Can anybody think of some of the benefits to the consumer or to them of meeting with your persons?
They know what type of house that their kind of budget is, like what they're budgeting for.
Yeah, good. So they don't end up at the kiss of death where they can't buy what they can't have, right? Because we're qualifying their affordability. So that's good. So one of the worst things you can allow a buyer to happen is they find something they can't afford and can't have and can't buy because they're not qualified for it. So great answer. Benefit number 1 for sure. Another benefit to them meeting with your persons? Would it be important to get a second opinion? Why not? Would it be important to have someone else shop all the lending institutions and all the packages and that on their behalf? Would it make sense that they be able to get the right package and the right right things and the right rates and everything for them, and have that done for them, and have it with no obligation or no expectations whatsoever? Would it be beneficial if they learned something or avoided an expense or a fee or a penalty or a payment or something like that that they didn't see coming? So your ability to communicate the benefits to them meeting with your persons, and then I literally will ask if it's okay for me to set up that appointment and set up that meet. And I say to them, what's the best thing that could happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? And what do you have to lose? Most people in my experience have been glad that they met with my persons and learned something they didn't know that they didn't know, got a second opinion, and ultimately sometimes my persons has the better options, the better packages, and the better rates and the better terms and everything else in that. What are your thoughts? Could I go ahead and set that up for you? Okay. Now, the benefit to me is that person, that my money's person, could tell me whether I ditch them or whether they're good to go, right? But I'm not going to get into that with them. I'm trying to explain to them the benefits to them of them meeting with my money's person. So qualifying question number 1, why? Qualifying question number 2, when? Qualifying question number 3, how? And then cash or credit. And if they say credit, then with whom? And then emphasizing the selling them of the benefits of meeting with your financial persons, okay? There's the qualifying process. Any questions on the qualifying process? Make sense to everybody? Any questions on the being more of a questioner and pulling versus pushing, talking a dog off a meat wagon? We're good? All right, so appointment conversion. Be honest, show of hands, how many people struggle with getting for the sit down, the appointment, getting the appointment, closing, converting to an appointment? Okay, so there's 2 goals. Write this down. In sales, there's 2 goals every day, guys. Write this down. Goal number 1 in sales, add somebody that does not have an agent of choice to your database. Add someone who does not have an agent of choice in Red Deer to your database. We talked about this last week. 4 out of 5 agents don't maintain communication, so it's free reign. So all those veterans should be crapping their pants right now because you're coming to eat their lunch and you're coming to get their clients because they loved them and left them. And 4 out of 5 wouldn't use their same agent again because they don't maintain communication. So goal number 1, find somebody who doesn't have an agent of choice, put them in your database touch, put them in your database value adds, and basically nurture that relationship and deepen that relationship. Goal number 2 in sales is the appointment. Write this down. I need to be a lean, mean appointment setting machine. I need to be a lean, mean appointment setting machine. Think about this, guys. If I don't have the appointment, then I don't have the ability to present. If I don't have a presentation, then I don't get a contract. If I don't get a contract, then I don't get an offer. If I don't get an offer, then I don't get a sale. If I don't get a sale, then I don't get a commission. If I don't get a commission, then I don't get any food. If I don't get any food, then I don't get to eat. If I don't get to eat, then I die and I'm sad and I'm mad and I'm out of the business. But it all starts with the appointment, the sit down. So how do I convert to the sit down? So we talked about this. Step 1, what are all the challenges for buyers in the marketplace? What are all the challenges in the market for the sellers? Convert all those challenges into power questions. Okay, here's a list for you. Challenges. Property prices too high. For a seller, they might be too low. I'm not getting enough. Payments, they might be having issues with payments and the financing side of things or financing options. They may have challenge with the interest rates. They may have challenges coming up with the deposit, coming up with the down payment. They may be restricted by a foreign buyer tax. They may be struggling with coming up with their closing costs. There may be a problem with provincial transfer tax. There may be challenge with them in capital gains or a flipping tax. Their equity might be frozen in their property and they have to buy before they can sell. Or they can't buy because they have to sell first. But they can't buy because nobody's taking a subject to sale of offer. Can't buy because I got to sell and my equity's frozen. But when I go to do it, I got to buy and I got to have a deal in my place because now I'm in a multiple. Multiples are challenging, so the market's moving too fast or the market's moving too slow for a seller or the market's moving too fast for a buyer. There's nothing to buy. I can't find what I'm looking for. Can't find anything. I want to buy a deal. I don't want a home. I want a deal. Got to make the decision. You want to buy a deal or you want to buy a home? Got to make that decision because there's 2 different things, 2 incredibly different things, buying a home and buying a deal. Market's going to crash more. right? What I want doesn't exist. I want that shiny penny, that golden unicorn, that rainbow with a pot of gold. I Mr. and Mrs. need too much, paid too much, want too much. Anybody met those folks? Mr. and Mrs. paid too much, need too much, want too much. They're a pending sale or are pendings and solds on good listings, and they're selling and pending quickly. The market's segmented, so what I'm selling is not getting an activity. So there's pockets of hot and there's pockets of not. Is that happening in your market, guys? Like Kelowna's market? There's pockets of hot and there's pockets of not, or is everything hot and everything's not? What's happening in your Red Deer market there, guys?
Yeah, I'd say both.
Say both? Yeah. It's segmented like us. It's weird because here you don't know if you've got that hot or not listing. You just don't know. It's weird. Overpricing and coming on the market, and the buyer wants to lowball. Are any of those challenges sounding familiar to Red Deer for buyers and sellers, that list? Okay, guys. So now you take all these challenges and you got to turn them all into thought-provoking and engaging questions, because all of a sudden they're like, yeah. And then they're like, man, she gets me. Oh, he understands me. Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Right. And so my job is to help them become aware of those challenges, to connect with them, make them feel like I get them and I get what they're doing in that. Notice that I'm not selling them about me or how awesome I am, or talking about FinTrack or agency or all that other crap that everybody's talking and always worrying about. It's about asking them thought-provoking, engaging questions about what they're about to embark in and what they're going to face in that, and letting them know that I have solutions to those challenges. And all we need to do, you ready for this? 3 letters, LGT. Let's get together. Let's get together. Okay? So that's your homework assignment, is to take those lists of those challenges like I shared with you on that slide. And Chad, I redid this slide, so I'll resend you the slide deck after I'm done today, so you can send a new one from this session here, okay? Because I added this stuff that I'm doing right now. And you guys, you need to create those thought-provoking, engaging questions about the challenges they're facing, become that agent of engagement, not agent of push, but pull, and then let them know you have solutions. And think about this analogy. How many of you are guilty of this? I'm not going to ask you to admit it in front, but you all should put your hand up. How many of you go fishing and the worm's on the hook and they ask you to give them something and you give it to them and you take the worm right off the hook and you hand it to the fish, and then this fish swims away and you don't have an appointment? But you gave them the worm because you're so kind and you're so nice and you gave them the answers they're looking for. And that, stop fishing and pulling the worm off the hook. Keep the worm on the hook and close for the appointment. Close for the sit down. Does that resonate with those in the room, those on the call? Stop giving them the worm. Stop answering their questions. Help them become aware of the challenges that they're facing and let them know you have solutions. And write this little nugget down. If you ask them to sit down with them 3 times, not once, not twice, 3 times, you have a 62% chance of getting a yes and an appointment the 3rd time. So blah, 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 blah. I'm aware, I've got some solutions and I got strategies for that. Let's get together. Blah, 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 blah. I've got solutions and answers to those strategies and that. Let's get together. 3 times I ask, and then I'll close 3 times. Write this down. What's the worst thing could happen you and I getting together? Be quiet and shut up and wait. What's the best thing could happen if we get together? Shut up and wait. And tell you what, what if you learned something and took away something that you didn't know you did, and you got coffee, and I bought a muffin and threw it in, and we did it in 22 to 30 minutes? What that have meant to you? And no obligation, no pressure, no whatsoever in that. We'll get a feel. I'll ask you, and I'll provide you solutions in that. And then at the end of it all, you'll end up with coffee and education piece and this and that and that. What do you got to lose? What are you thinking? Let's get together. Okay? That's appointment conversion. Does that make sense to everybody? It's not about what you're going to do and what's so special about you and that. It's not pushing, it's pulling. Pull them, stop pushing and start pulling, guys, and bring them in and engage them and let them know you got solutions to the challenges of these marketplaces. And I know you're all freaking out and you're like, well, I don't know what the solutions are to some of these challenges, Wade. So your other homework assignment is to think about what you can do. So Chad, I sent you some of those visuals that I created for some of those challenges in the marketplace, and you guys will get a copy of those. I have a platinum purchase plan, how I find things off market. I have a home seller's protection plan, how I can list and still not leave you homeless. I've got a multiple offer strategy. I got a bully offer strategy. I sent a whole bunch of visuals that you guys can use as solutions to these buyer and seller challenges that you can use as tools, because you can't tell me you're salespeople and talk is cheap and I can't trust you. You got to show me with a visual and legitimize what you're saying is to be true by putting it in front of me in a visual. Big difference. Any questions about appointment conversion? Any questions about the challenges? Any questions about the questions? Any questions about closing 3 times and getting a 62% chance of a yes on the 3rd time? Does that help people that are taking the worm off and giving it to the fish and not getting appointments? Does that help people how to figure out the 3 questions to learn how to lose them on Tuesday before they run your reg and screw you over on Saturday? Is that helpful? Okay. All right. Next nugget. Next technique, or what to say and how to say it, guys. How many people, when they first meet somebody new, in that it feels awkward and strange, and it kind of feels like there's this deathly silence when you first meet somebody for the first time in an appointment? Would you agree that that moment happens in that? So one of the techniques I'm going to teach you guys is what they call the safe island technique. So how many people in the room would like to know when we first meet what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about, what we're going to cover before we actually do that? How many people like to know what we're going to do before we even do it? Okay, it's called the safe island. So you safe island a buyer, what we're going to do and what we're going to cover, and let them know how we're going through that, or you safe island a seller and let them know what they're doing. And you can literally feel the energy change and the comfort level adjust when they know what you're going to say, what you're going to cover, and what we're going to talk about, what we're going to embark on before we actually do it. Great technique, phenomenal technique, and using it, and it's called the safe island technique. And I'll add that script and dialogue. It's in the repertoire here of what to say and what to do it. So I'll give you an example with the home seller. So more important than the home you're selling is your needs and wants. So we're going to begin by asking a bunch of questions to determine your needs and determine your wants and understand you and get your story in that. That's step 1. Then we're going to talk about the buying process and make sure that there's no surprises. Then we're going to talk about costs. So there's no surprises on the costs of all involved in the buying process. I'm going to subscribe you to a one-stop shopping system. I'm actually going to give you an all-access pass, and we're going to look at not physically, but virtually, we're going to eliminate what we want to look at physically and go through and log you in. And the reason why I want to log you into the MLS system is that you'll see what I see so that there's no question in your minds that I'm holding anything back and there's something else out there, because you're going to see what I see by logging into MLS together. Then we're going to eliminate that. We're going to make an appointments and process elimination. You're going to do some drive-bys, and then we're going to make some physical appointments. And then we're going to write an offer. I'm going to provide you a copy of the contract to take with you today, so you can review that contract so you don't feel uncomfortable about signing something or buying something when we go and find that right one. And then I'm going to subscribe you to an after-sales service program, because it's not about what we're going to buy. It's about you, your family, your relationships and friendships, and becoming an agent and your agent of choice for life. So with that said, and that in mind, we're going to cover all that. Let's begin by asking questions about you and getting your understanding and your needs and your wants. Okay. So that's an example of a script and a dialogue of what I'm telling them, what we're going to cover and what we're going to say and what we're going to do. And then I start doing that and let them know that they can just relax and just stay calm, and they feel more comfortable by safe islanding them at the beginning of the initial time of the appointment and when we first meet. Okay. Next technique. How many people have heard of the FORD technique? F-O-R-D. It's an acronym. The acronym FORD stands for Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams. Okay. So this is the simplest, most powerful technique to get people to speak with you, to get people to like you, to get people to trust you, to be comfortable with you and build rapport with you, is using this technique. This is where you need to practice on your relatives, your dog, your friends, your coworkers at a role-playing script practicing on Fridays at the office. So you begin by asking them a bunch of questions about family. Where they go to school? Where are they originally from? Where do they live? And you exhaust all the questions about family. And you're taking the time to discuss family and looking for things that you have in common and connection with them through the F category. If you don't have that BFF moment, in case you don't have 3 children like I do that are in their adolescence, BFF stands for best friends forever. You're waiting for that moment where you have something in common and connection, and you change the energy and the connection between you and them. And if there's nothing on the family, then we move into occupation. So what have you done in the past for a living? What are some of the jobs? Where have you worked? What have you done in that? And we'll explore the occupation side of things and see if there's a connection there. If there's not, then we're going to talk about what they do for fun. What are their hobbies? What are the things that they do? They had time and money and all the time and money in the world. Then what are some of the things that they have for recreation? And the last thing, I'm not going to ask you what I'm dreaming about, because that's awkward and inappropriate and inexcusable. So I'm going to ask you if there's some of the things on the bucket list. What are some of the things on your bucket list? And help describe your bucket list. And I'm taking the time to forward them and to discover what we have in common and connection, and waiting for that trust and that like and that rapport. And you cannot rush this process. Okay. How many people honestly struggle with small talk and talking to people with and not knowing what to talk about? This is the single most simplest, most powerful mechanism and dialogue and script that you can use to discover people and do that. So veterans, you should be doing this on your existing database, and newbies, you should be using this to build conversations and build rapport and talk to people out there. And just out of curiosity, where are you originally from? And just out of curiosity, what have you done for work and this, that, and find things that you have in common that and forward them, and use that forward technique to build that rapport. I had a coaching client that she met with all of the people in her Rotary Club and took them for coffee one by one and forwarded every one of them. And she is now officially the go-to girl in her Rotary Club within 1 year. And there's another agent that was the president of that Rotary Club, but because she took the time to figure out who they are, remember this, Carnegie says that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So when you take the time to discover their family, their occupation, their recreation, their dreams, and you connect with them and you drill down in that, they like you, they trust you, you become their persons of choice by taking the time and giving them the gifted time to learn more about them. Does that make sense to everybody? It's powerful, powerful. So that's the one punch. The two punch is the mayor campaign. How many of you have heard this script and heard this dialogue, the mayor campaign? Hey, Chad, do you do Buffini in your office, bud?
Yes.
Okay, so this script, guys, was invented by Joe Nego, Brian Buffini's partner out of Chicago. And Joe put this dialogue together. And the two things I think that are important about the mayor campaign, write this down, is the mayor campaign comes in at the very, very end, almost like an afterthought. So the mayor campaign is at the end and almost as an afterthought, okay? And it's probably the simplest, most powerful dialogue and script that you can use to qualify your own database if you're a veteran and to determine whether they have an agent of choice. So Joe always opens with, just out of curiosity, if you had a friend, relative, or family member thinking about buying and selling real estate in Red Deer, who do you refer them to? Question mark, quiet, stop, wait, listen. If you had a friend, relative, or family member or coworker buying or selling real estate in Red Deer, who do you refer and recommend them to? How I segue to this conversation is, let me give you an example if I'm a veteran. So I'm touching base with my database, and I'm checking in on them, and I'm forwarding them, and I'm finding out what's going on. And at the end of the conversation, I say, hey, Chad, would you mind if I just asked you a business question and put my real estate hat on for 2 seconds? Chad, out of curiosity, if you had a friend, relative, or family member thinking about buying and selling real estate, who do you refer and recommend in real estate in Red Deer? And Chad says, well, I refer them to Madison. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Has Madison got that ankle bracelet off of her leg yet? Just kidding, Madison. All right. But the reality is that the answer to that question is, I hear great things about Madison. Sounds like you're well taken care of. You're in good hands. Thanks so much. Next. It's fine. But if somebody says that in your database, that Madison's her girl, like, are you going to wait till Madison dies or gets hit by a truck or whatever else that? So you have to delete them off your database because they've clearly stated to you that you're not their agent of choice, wrong answer, and you delete their ass off your database and not keep them on there. And if they say they don't have an agent of choice, honor if they do. If they don't, you say, well, great, Chad. The reason why I ask is from time to time I provide this great content. It's my client appreciation program, CAP, C-A-P. Okay. Now, guys, you need to create visuals of your CAP on your phone or in your hand in your binders. So here are some examples of CAP items. Your office newsletter, your annual CMA packages, your birthday cards, your house anniversary cards, your client parties, your pop-by gifts. Create a physical photo of each of these items on your phone and say, Chad, I do this and I provide this and I provide this and I provide this and this. Would this be of interest to you, my friend? You've got to compel them and show them what you provide in exchange for their personal, private, and very protective contact information. Does this make sense to everybody? Don't tell me, show and sell me, either on your phone, in your photos, or physically visuals of those samples that you can carry around with you to show people what you provide. If you're not compelling enough, if you don't show them what you have and what you've got, then they're going to be really, really carefully holding back giving your information. And how do I get somebody's phone number? Chat. If I come across a hot deal or a foreclosure or something of a good value or a hot deal in real estate, what's the best number I can reach you at? 90% of the time I'll get Chad's mobile number by letting him know that if I get a hot tip or a hot deal or something that's available for you. I call all my top clients and my investor clients and that. If that's of interest to you, what's the best number I can reach you at? Now I'm going to get Chad's mobile and I'm going to get his email or his mailing address based on what I'm providing and showing them provide. And I'm straight up with them that I'm providing this to add value, not to bother you, not to spam you, not to stalk you, to add value to my clients and help them become a resource and a relationship with them to be able to have them recommend and refer me to their friends and family and loved ones. I'm straight up and tell them why I want to provide that information to them. Okay. So the Ford is the one punch and the two punch is the mayor campaign. So any new agent that's new to Red Deer, the only thing you should be doing all day to your 10 people is finding somebody to Ford and finding somebody to mayor and add them to your database. And remember last week's session, one ad to your database, you didn't add one, you added 150. Not one, you added 150 based on that law that we talked about last week. That's a good day. Think about this. If I add 5 people a week for 50 weeks and they know 150 other people in 1 year, it's a pretty darn good year of people that are fans of you and your business and adding them to your database and you adding value to them, staying top of mind. I'm not adding value to the people that are in the database hoping that they're going to buy and sell. I'm adding value to them and deepening relationship and being top of mind so that when they go to a house party or they go out in that and their friends talk about buying and selling, I want them to tell me to call me. But if I don't add value and I'm not top of mind, then they're not going to tell them to call me. Does that make sense to everybody? So you're not bugging people, you're adding value to people and deepening your relationship and being top of mind so that they will tell their peoples when they come across that moment each year to call you and insist to call you. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions about the Ford script? Any questions about Safe Island? Any questions about mayor campaign? Good? All right. Next one. Diamond of salesmanship. When I'm speaking to somebody, I use their name. Why do I use someone's name all the time throughout the dialogue? Not awkwardly, but just once in a while, why do I use a person's name? How does it make them feel when I use their name, please?
Important.
Correct. Bingo. Good answer. Next one. Why do I smile and pay somebody a compliment when I'm speaking to people?
Makes them feel good about themselves.
Correct. Do they want to buy a house from Sad Susie and Eeyore? Right? And paying people a compliment and smiling is kind of sadly a lost art. It's a lost art. Next one. Visuals. You know the most powerful visual tool right here, this pad and this pen. Because when I write it out and I spell it out and I write on my pad and paper and I use a visual, way more powerful. Don't sell me, show me and sell me, don't tell me, right? Big time. The pad and pen. Why do I take notes when people are speaking, please, to me? Why do I take notes?
It makes them feel that you're actually, even if you're not really, excuse me, if you're taking like just insignificant notes, it makes people feel that you are listening to them.
100%. One trick number one is show how you're present. For somebody that's ADD, take notes because it's hard to stay on track and hard to stay present, right? To stay visual in that, to listen to them, to be tuned in that. again, it shows them that I care because I'm listening, and it feels like they've been heard because I'm answering notes. And then I can recap and summarize and reinforce that they've been heard. Some of the most common complaints is they don't listen. She doesn't listen. She just talks out her rear end, blah, 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 this, that. Just drives me crazy, right? Just drives me crazy. And remember, eliminate the 14% odds, folks. 86% tone, voice inflection, eye contact, body language, right? Stop the text train, stop the phone train, face to face, belly to belly, voice to voice, eyeball to eyeball, stomach to stomach, and that 86% odds versus 14% odds. Agents don't screw up deals. The communication devices screw up the deals. They're so misconstrued and miscommunicated all the time because we're using Twit chat and Snap Twit and Face and whatever else in that we're using to communicate. And you wonder why the deals get killed or why things fall apart. Okay? That's the diamond of salesmanship. Use their names. Smile. Pay them a compliment. Visuals. Don't tell. Show and sell. 86% of communication. Tone, voice inflection, eye contact, and body language. Those things are just tools. They're not communication. They're just a tool. They're not the real deal. Okay? Next one, mirroring. Barbara Walters, Larry King, Oprah Winfrey, the masters of mirroring. So anybody tell me in the room what's mirroring technique? What's the mirroring used for?
Being like-minded.
Correct. Good.
To match their energy.
Yeah, so matching their energy, matching their movement, and matching their speech. Why do I match their energy, movement, and speech, please, in sales? Why is it so important that I match that?
People want to work with somebody that are like them.
Yeah, what does Barbara Walters get to people to do on national television so good? They say shit that they shouldn't tell anybody on national television because she's got them so comfortable and so in that you're like, oh my God, did you just say that on national television? Right? How many people have the gift of their clients TMIing them? Anybody out that other problem that I have that I read? So I'm very good at making people feel comfortable in this, that, and they TMI me all the time. And you're like, man, for those of you who don't know TMI, that's too much information and an awkward moment where the needle on the record goes, and they tell you something that they wish they wouldn't have told you in that. But that's because you're good at getting them to feel comfortable with you and you're good at mirroring stuff. So don't get caught mocking or mimicking. You always repeat what they said and add one more or two or three more words. You move, like if they cross their legs, then you cross your legs and fold your arms and you move one more. So you always plus one what they said, always plus one what they move. So you don't get caught mimicking and mocking and you're actually mirroring. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And they'll feel so comfortable and so good that they'll say things that they can't even believe that they're telling you, and they'll open up and they're really, really open up and sharing that. It's an incredibly important skill to be able to do that, is the mirroring technique. Okay. Next one. Anybody know the 5-6-7 technique written by and created by Joe Stumpf? Anybody heard of 5-6-7? Okay, we are here in the nick of time, Chad. Boy, oh boy, good thing you hired me, bud. All right, guys, salespeople are so good at asking one question deep, and that's it. You're not going deep enough. You've got to learn to go 5, 6, 7 questions deep every time with someone, okay? You're going surface level, one question, if that, deep in that, and it doesn't work. So the lady that's sitting in the front that's answering questions on the left hand is my left, and that you want to role play with me, just tell me. I'm going to show you the 5-6-7 technique, and we're going to see her either go down the avoidance of pain path or the desire of pleasure path, and you tell me which one she goes. So the lady in the front there, your first name, please?
Shelley.
Shelley, can you tell me what's your income goal for this year for 2023, please?
Being still pretty new, I would like to see between 40 and 50.
Okay, so can you explain to me or tell me in the group, if you don't mind, why is the 50K so important to you? Why'd you pick that number, please? Question number one. That's one question deep. 50K. Why is that so important to you?
It's a very good. We do have other income.
Yeah.
So it would be a very good supplemental income.
Okay, and what would you supplement, please, with that 50K?
Pay off the farm.
Okay, so what did she just go? What path did she just go, please? She went down the avoidance of pain path, right? Paying off the farm, pain. Paying off the farm. So if you paid off the farm, Shell, what would that allow you to do?
Be able to pay the other bills.
Okay, and being able to pay the farm and the other bills, then what would you be able to do? What would that be so important to you?
Buy another horse
And why would you want to buy another horse, please?
because I don't have enough.
And why? And why do you love the horses and want to buy so many horses, please?
I compete.
Awesome. And how does the competing make you feel, please, Shelley?
Good.
How good?
Depends on if I'm winning or not.
But when you're winning and you're riding, Shell, how does that make you feel?
Really good.
Really good. So she kind of went down the avoidance of pain path, paying the farm, and then she went down to the pleasure path of, right? And so, Chad, you need to get this girl a sheet full of horses and stick them on her desk every day. And whatever the magazine where you buy horses from, put it on Shelley's desk every day, because that's Shell, that's your motivator. That's your why. I'm hoping on your vision chart and that your farm being paid off and your horses and you holding up the horse cups and the Stanley Cups for horse riding and everything else and that is on your vision board, because that's why you go to real estate every day, is to financially be able to buy more horses, to have more fun riding and more fun winning, and that, because it makes you feel what?
Well, if I buy another horse, so my husband will divorce me.
That's a minor detail, Shelley, but think of all the horses you got. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right. So the simple technique with 5, 6, 7 is ask the first question and then 6 more times. Tell me more about that. So why is that so important to you, Shelley? Help me understand that better in that. So you paraphrase and go 7 deep, and you'll figure out what Shelley's running from or running to in 7 questions deep, just like I did. Does that make sense to everybody in the room?
Yes.
You got a 5, 6, 7, every seller and every buyer, and make sure you know what they're running from and running to. And that only comes from asking them 7 questions deep. How many people need to ask more questions and go deeper with their clientele and with their clients? Yes or no? Okay. Get deeper. Use that 5, 6, 7. Okay. There are 2 types of questions in sales: open-ended questions and closed questions. Open-ended questions: who, what, where, when, why, and how. They're questions that keep the conversation rolling, and they're questions that a client cannot answer yes or no to and cut the dialogue off. It's so important that you know these: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Their dialogue, they're your conversation questions. They're questions that a client cannot answer yes or no, shut you down, create that awkward silence, and then they swim away, just like the fishing analogy. A closed question is a direct question that I'm leading you to the answer I'm looking for. So Shelley, just out of curiosity, if I could show you that buying without selling your place could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, would you be interested in hearing more about that? Yes or no?
Possibly.
Okay, so that's a closed question because I'm leading her, because I'm explaining to her that like her thought process is that if I could show you that this would cost you, would you be interested in hearing more? That's a closed-ended question, right? So be very, very careful that you're open, and then it's a closed, and then it's open, and then it's a closed-ended question. So question, a closed question. So Shelley, just answer the word yes or no to this question. So how many houses have you looked at?
None.
No, answer the question. Answer it yes or no.
No.
Right? Can't. Right? Who else are you interviewing, Shelley?
Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding what you mean as interviewing.
I'm asking you a question that starts with who, what, where, when, and why, and I'm showing you that you can't answer yes or no to it and cut me off. Does that make sense? So any question that you ask you, who, what, where, when, and why, and how, you cannot answer yes or no to and cut me off and stop our dialogue. I'm just proving to the audience that she can't answer an open-ended question with a yes or no. So she has to answer with more information and more dialogue. She can't say yes, can't say no, and cut me off and create that awkward silence and then walk away. Make sense to everybody? Okay?
Yeah.
All right. I was just trying to prove to people that you can't answer yes or no to my open-ended questions. Doesn't matter. You can try any who, what, where, when, why, and how. Someone cannot answer and cut you off with a yes or no. Okay? And then you ask closed-ended questions or direct questions, leading them to the answer that you know that they're going to answer. Like I had said to you, if I could show you this, would you? And that's a closed-ended question. So knowing the right questions to ask, agents don't ask the right questions. They ask all closed questions. Awkward silence, client walks away because you don't know what to say. Okay. Next one, feel, felt, found. So this is a simple strategy to show people that they're wondering if you're any good. So Shelly, just so we're clear, right? You're probably wondering whether I'm any good or if I'm somebody you can trust or somebody you work with. A lot of my clients that we've worked with in the past have felt the exact same way and feel nervous and feel apprehensive. But what I want to share with you what they found doing business with me, and this is where I show my testimonials. This is where I show my awards and stuff like that. This is where I show all the things that how many people need to get some character references and testimonials and things like that to share with people what it's like to do done business with you in the past, and even if you're new to this business, right? So using this technique and that, and acknowledging that people are curious and wondering if you're any good and what it's like to deal with you, and acknowledging that that's normal and everybody else has felt the same way. But let me just show you what they found doing business with me. It's called the feel, felt, found technique, and a great way to put people at ease and a great way to show them how many people have a third-party testimony that you could use and share with people visually on your phone and show people, not to brag, just to share with people your credibility. How many people realize that that testimonial they might want to get because they need some street cred and they need some credibility? Okay. That's why Yelp's so powerful. And that's why, what other ones? Yelp's so powerful, TripAdvisor's so powerful, all these third-party review sites that people really want to know. And if you don't have Google reviews, you should have Google reviews and a Google reviews on your website as well, because it's the only way to prove that you can use a third-party source to legitimize and validate your ability and your expertise and your character. Next technique. Anybody dealing with online leads? Online leads? Anybody dealing with online leads, guys? This is the universal call script for a telephone call or an online lead or whatever else. It's called the LP Mama. Okay? Location, price, motivation, assume, money, and appointment. Okay, Shelly, you're going to be somebody that calls in on a sign call in the office. I'm going to ask you some questions using LP Mama. So, Shelly, are you aware of the best areas in Red Deer, the best neighborhoods for the bang for your buck?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. So let me, in this price range that you're looking, right? What price range are you looking at, please, Shelly?
I'd like to stay under 400.
Okay, and are you aware that of the locations under 400 are the best locations in Red Deer? Would that be of interest to you, please?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me why are you wanting to buy and why are you wanting to buy under 400 and when were you hoping to buy that under 400?
Huge hurry. I'd like to buy within the next 4 months.
Okay. And why is 400 under 400 mark so important to you, please?
Just within my budget. I feel
Okay.
that if I'm over, if I go farther than that, then I'm going to be over my budget.
Sure. Were you aware that the most frustrating things when people deal with realtors is that agents don't push people a little on their price and a little on their location? And so what ends up happening, Shelly, is when you're looking on your own, because I can only assume that you're looking on your own right now because you're calling and you're doing all the lifting yourself. Anybody working with me, I do all the heavy lifting, but more importantly, I push them a little on price and a little on location because they get so frustrated. They find things on MLS that I don't find for them because they're finding stuff a little bit more expensive and in other areas that they don't realize are other areas that you told me they wouldn't look. So would you having somebody doing the heavy lifting for you and being able to broaden your perspective on price and motivation and avoiding the most frustrating thing about dealing with realtors is finding things that they're not sending you on your own. Would that be of interest to you, please, Shelly?
Yes, it would.
Okay. All right. So are you paying cash, Shell, or would you require some credit, please? Some financing?
Some credit, not a lot.
Okay, great. Just out of curiosity, do you have somebody that you associate or deal with on a regular basis when it comes to the credit and the financing side of things?
Yes.
Are you familiar with some of the benefits of meeting with my money's person?
I'm quite happy with the person that people that I'm with, but if they could save me or benefit me in some way, then yes.
Well, thank you for selling yourself on the benefits of using my person, because my persons could do that exactly for you. That's amazing. All right. So I'll do that. And then at the end of the day in that, Shelly, if I could show you my process of finding properties off market, how I could save you time, money, and eliminate some stress, and do all the heavy lifting and take care of you and be your transaction coordinator of that. Would you have 20 or 30 minutes this week that we could maybe meet at Starbucks or Tim's and that? I'll buy the coffee and we'll get together and just see if we're a fit for each other. Would Thursday this week at 2 be good for you, or Friday at 4 be better for you, Shell?
Could we make, is it possible for you to make it on Saturday?
Sure. I'm open any day. In our line of work, we work all the time. So yeah, Saturday, what time's good for you, please?
1 o'clock?
All right, perfect. We'll see you at 1. Tim Hortons on Bamboo Street or whatever it is in Red Deer. I'm not sure what it is. And I'll see you there. And could I get your cell number so I could text you an invite to our appointment, to our invite on your calendar? Would that be okay with you?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, perfect. And in case you get caught up or something comes up, because life happens, Shell, you can just text me at this number that I'm texting you for the appointment and let me know if there's a conflict in that. But I'm really looking forward to meeting with you on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Thanks for taking the time, and you'll be glad that you met and took the time to meet with us. I promise it'll be 30 minutes tops.
Thanks.
All right, guys, there's the LP Mama, universal call script for the appointment, pushing on location, explaining the benefits of locations, pricing, motivation, assuming, stop asking if they're working with a realtor. They know the answer to that question. Yes, they make you go away. It's like garlic and a steak for a vampire. Don't ask that question. Shelly, I can only assume that you don't have an agent of choice because you're doing all the lifting and calling on ads like this today. Would that be the case? You're not working with another agent. I can assume that you're doing all the lifting yourself.
Correct.
See, I don't ask the question, are you working with another agent? Just to use the assume dialogue instead of working with another agent dialogue, okay? Change your verbiage, change your dialogue, guys. Keep the momentum and keep the conversation rolling, right? Last one, the appointment conversion. We talked about this. So your homework assignment, guys, is to make a list of all the challenges for buyers, all the challenges for sellers. You're welcome. There's 3 pages of lists that I'm going to send Chad to you in that. You're going to convert them and all create questions out of them, who, what, where, when, why, and questions out of them. And then you're going to memorize those and internalize them. So I'm going to close on this, guys. How many of you have a problem with I travel a lot for business and that and for pleasure and that. And how many of you people are glad that the stewardess has the cue cards and the cheat cards when they're reading off the introduction and the emergency process and that when we're first trying to take off? How many people are glad that they do that? Right? And why are we glad? Correct. And we can get over the damn thing. We can get up in the air quicker and faster, right? Does that make sense? Right? So, and I'm glad they use them. So do you know that if you bring your own cue cards, if you bring your own questions, if you read from them and you resource to them on your phone or on a thing, do you know that none of your clients will feel any different about you, just like we don't feel any different about a stewardess reading off of her cue cards to tell us what's going to happen before we take off and hit the tarmac? Does this make sense? I have 68-year-old, no disrespect to 68-year-olds. I'm getting closer to that every day. But I have people that can't remember what to say, and they read their scripts on their presentations for listings and buyers and sellers word for word, and their clients never say, "Hey, Shelly, are you reading that? Do you suck so bad that you're reading that?" They're like, "Thank goodness Shelly's reading this and she's sticking to the point and she sounds like she knows what she's talking about and she's not nervous and she's not freaking out and she's not going by memory and Alzheimer's is not kicking in, and they're getting through the conversation and that." So using the cue cards and using the dialogue and things like that to carry around with you guys, hands down, do it until you're comfortable and you internalize things. Like I may have internalized the LP Mama script, or I might have internalized Safe Island, or I might have internalized Feel Felt Found, or I might have internalized who, what, where, when, why are questions, or I might have internalized the mayor campaign. Just out of curiosity, if you had a friend, family member thinking about buying and selling, who do you refer to that? Guys, do you think I might have spent a little time in the driving range before I go out to the golf game? Yes or no?
Yes.
How many people think they need to spend a little bit more time on the driving range so that they can at least remotely sound like they know what they're talking about, what they're doing? Yes or no? There'll be people in here that you're like, wait, I'm just going to go by feel. I'm just going to go wing it. I'm just going to do it and what the universe tells me on that. Good luck with that. That's fine, right? Because if you wing it, you get wing it results. If you're planned and you do it and you follow it and you follow the flow in that, you're going to get the results you're looking for. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Okay? So Chad, I've ran out of time, man. But in the presentation, guys, there's a ton more dialogues and scripts and a ton more techniques here. I could go on and on, almost 2 sessions that. So guys, I'm giving you phone techniques, door knock technique, client appointment techniques, dialogue rapport building techniques, scripts, and that. I'm giving you everything known to man here. I think there's about 80 pages here, Chad. Sorry, 50 pages. There's about 50 pages of tools in the toolkit that you guys can work on. I'd encourage you to put together a group of role playing and scripting and dialoguing and use these on a weekly basis and practice them on each other on a weekly basis. So your homework assignment is to finish week 1 if you haven't and send it to me. Finish week 2 and an update on week 2 and send it to me. And week 3's homework assignment is to spend some time recording yourself, videoing yourself, role playing with your dog, your cat, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your spouse, or somebody in the office and get comfortable with these dialogues and with these things and how to say and what to say in that moving forward and get the results you're looking for. Can I get a commitment? Yes, I'm going to do that for the next week. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, good. Guys, you'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. Just so we're clear, I sound like a walking, talking dialogue machine, but do you know that I'm actually a socially introverted person when I'm asking in sales, and then I'm just asking questions and shutting up and listening and taking notes? And you know how hard it is for somebody like me with ADD, squirrel, to be able to sit there and watch somebody, listen to them and ask questions and listen to them and take notes? Very difficult, but I've had to learn to shut up and to ask questions and to be present and to make them feel like they've heard and change what they feel, change how they think, and change how they act, because that's what we do. We're persons of influence, if that makes sense. Any questions, any comments, any concerns for week 3, please? Did everybody get at least one nugget today? We're good? All right, awesome. Awesome. All right, you guys. So your homework is to finish up week 1, 2, and 3. We'll be getting together next week at noon next week, or at 12 my time, 1 your time. And I look forward to our week 4 session, you guys. Thanks for everybody coming. Thanks for everybody sending me updates on their progress in the past couple of weeks and that. I appreciate you guys' time in that. Have a fantastic week and good luck with learning what to say and how to say it and getting the results you're looking for. Okay. And Shelly, thank you so much for role playing and letting me use you as a guinea pig this week. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thank
you guys.
you.
Have a great week. Take care, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.